Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gooey's Dungeon Dive, the podcast where I, Gooey, rank all of the dungeons in the Legend of Zelda series. And this week in Oracle of Ages, we are still hanging out with the Gorons of Rolling Ridge. Here we get to play some of the Gorons minigames, become a master of the art of Goron dancing, as well as regifting an old Goron family heirloom. In an interesting twist, we must obtain both the Mermaid key and the Old Mermaid key. These, in both past and present, open up the next dungeon, Mermaid's Cave. And yeah, you can enter this dungeon in both the past and the present, which is pretty much the main feature of this dungeon. In the past, we see a water-filled dungeon hidden beneath a waterfall, while in the present, the dungeon has become old and decrepit. In the past, the dungeon has two main floors that, by present day, seem to have collapsed into each other and formed the shape of, you guessed it, a mermaid. To complete the dungeon, we must move back and forth between time periods and explore this dungeon, and it's a similar concept to the Spirit Temple in Ocarina of Time, except this time, instead of the dungeon being two sort of mini dungeons that intersect at one point, this time we pass over basically the same layout in past and present with some minor differences. For example, like how I mentioned, the two floors have become one, but not only that, things you do in this dungeon in the past affect the dungeon in the present. Mainly that comes down to situations like bombing a wall and then returning in the present to find an open passageway. Eventually though, we're able to bring something from the present back to the past. This includes the boss key, but also, after taking on the dungeon's mini-boss, that pesky Vire, we finally obtain the dungeon item, the Mermaid suit. This allows us to return to the water-filled dungeon in the past and freely swim around in and underneath some of the deep water flooding the dungeon. The past-present element makes for awesome navigation, especially after you throw in some of the keys and locks, especially they can be only used in the respective times, as well as a dual map and compass. Also, there's an area that employs a dual roundabout puzzle, which is pretty fun. I really love working my way through this one. Our final challenge, though, is the Octorok-like Octagon. This guy doesn't give me too much trouble. He floats around the room, he shoots his little rocks, and I feel like it's pretty easy to just slash at him. But then when he dives underwater, we gotta employ the dungeon item to swim down and attack him. I think it's supposed to be more strategic and more intense, but I just kind of slash away at him, and if you got enough hearts, you'll take him down. It was pretty neat to swim underwater to fight him though. That's kind of a cool concept. And with that, we pick up our next Essence of Time, the Lonely Peak. It is a proud, lonely spirit that remains stalwart, even in trying times. So yeah, I feel like that was a pretty succinct rundown. You know, I didn't go beat by beat. Once again, you get the idea. It's got, you know, the good backtracking. It's got unique puzzles in certain rooms that I didn't really touch on. But overall, I just want to say, like, this dungeon I think is awesome. Like, I love the past present. I feel like it really explores that gimmick in a cool way that I feel like the Spirit Temple didn't really get. You know, I actually automatically, it goes above Spirit Temple, but in our ranking of just Oracle of Ages, that automatically puts it above Wing Dungeon, I guess. But I actually, so far, this is my favorite dungeon in Ages. So it's gonna shoot above Moonlight Grotto, which is another dungeon that has a unique standout concept. And I'm gonna be honest, I like it better than every dungeon in Oracle of Seasons. So I am thinking that this is going to pop in to the top 10. Oh yes. The question is where. I honestly think the gimmick is really, really cool. It's, you know, it's gonna be in the range with Stone Tower Temple, honestly, because it has a similar concept to that too, of like leaving the dungeon flipping the layout and coming back and re-exploring. And I actually think it does like a better job than that. Stone Tower obviously has its theming and craziness and individual rooms. It has a lot more, going on in it, but I think as an all-around package, I really like this one a lot. And I don't know, I just love it. I'm gonna give it, it's not gonna make my top 5 of what we got, but I'm going to put it above Stone Tower Temple. Let me know if you think that's too bold. But you know what I noticed here is that bumps Skull Woods out of the top 10, and I really think that one still deserves being here for the time being, because that's such a creative idea. Even if the dungeon, it's like this one where the dungeon's not that complex, honestly, but it is a little bit, but it's just the concept is so cool that I don't know how long it can stand up in the top 10, but I want to keep it there for now. I don't know if it'll last even this series. I guess we'll see, but I'm going to bump down. I think I can bump down Catfish's Maw just one spot to keep it for now. After that, I can't take the Forest Temple out, so that's where it's going to have to sit for now. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that, so let me know, is this too high or not? I might have to do some rethinking later, but I always love this dungeon. I'm always partial to it because I love that time travel element. And yeah, all right, I will see you next week.